Welcome to Operations and Supply Chain University. I'm Jerry Wright. This is lesson number 17, example DOEs. So DOE example number one, this is for the wipe all Kim towels. When I worked with Kimberly-Clark many years ago, we had to do something with the Kimberly-Clark Kim towels product. It was losing market share and margin due to customer preferences. People just didn't like it. It wasn't performing. So the KC product manager at the time initiated a Taguchi Methods effort to redesign, rebrand, and relaunch the product as Wipe All Kim Towels. Keep in mind that Taguchi method is a form of design of experiments. This was back in 1989 timeframe. So the key factors to be examined were located in two sites. We had the mill in Wisconsin and then the service and industrial plant where the converting was done in Mississippi. Now, the DOE was running the number one tissue machine in the Neenah location, and we were looking at 8 different factors. Another 4 factors were examined in the embossing and converting process on winder number 4 in Corinth, Mississippi. This DOE was very detailed. It was full factorial oriented, so there wasn't any confounding, and it took over 6 months to complete. So I spent a lot of time flying between Mississippi and Wisconsin. Now, we completed over 100 runs in total for the design of experiment. And then the new product launched amazingly successful because we'd taken all the factors in for preferences, design, feel, cost, everything. And so it was an amazing example. And it was the first time I was introduced to design of experiments almost 40 years ago. Now here's another one, a little more recent. We're looking at how to make the cuffs on a custom knee brace. This is at DJO Global, where I worked for many years. We wanted to understand what were the key factors that influenced the effective molding of the cuffs. So these are bladder type molded cuffs. Some of the key factors were air pressure, temperature, time in the oven, and then port inflation. Did we inflate from one side or two sides? How was that going to work? Now we did a half fractional factorial was executed, and we looked at 4 different factors, 3 different levels, and basically 27 runs to do this experiment. So it took, I think, an entire weekend to do this. And it was determined that dual ports were necessary and a minimum inflation pressure was critical to get the proper inflation. So this DOE was very practical. It worked very well, and we got a greater understanding. Many people were concerned about temperature and time. They just weren't that important. As long as you had them in a minimum range, you were good to go. But the pressure was critical, and dual port inflation was also critical. So again, this DOE was executed in the mid 2010 late 2005 to 2010 timeframe. Now, here's another one that was done. This is just an example to talk about miles per gallon. So this is a question that comes up often. Should I have my tailgate down or my tailgate up? What gives me the better mileage on my Toyota Tacoma SR5? So in this example, you can see we did a simple fractional factorial, 8 runs. You can see tailgate up, tailgate down, and then tire pressure. So 32 versus 42 PSI, and then speed 55 versus 65. And then you have the output in terms of miles per gallon. So interestingly enough, tailgate, wow, big factor. And interestingly enough, tailgate needed to be up, not down. So apparently the drag changes as the tailgate is lowered and it increases. So tire pressure had another significant factor. And of course, speed was a factor. But again, the tailgate being up was one of the most important things, which most people would not assume that. So you can see tailgate being up, very important. Again, speed, important, but not to the same extent as the tailgate. So again, having the tire pressure higher and the tailgate up versus down was the key factors for the higher miles per gallon. Now here's another DOE example. This is number 4. This is done on one of my students, did it on hockey. So he said, hey, what's going to happen when I do this hockey slap shot or a wrist shot on my hockey tables, like an air hockey table? And you can see he had the different scoring zones and everything was lined up there. So again, using a protractor and having the actual ruler, if you want to call that, set up to hit the puck, it would say what was happening and how was this going to work out? What gave us the best shot? So again, there were a slap shot and a wrist shot, and you could see the points based on where the puck landed. Tens were right at the goal mouth, and then they got, increasingly lower. So these were the different things: shot type, wrist shot or slap shot, the windup. So how far was it back? 50 degrees or 60 degrees, and then stick length, 4 inches or 6 inches. So interesting enough, shot type was pretty important. You can see that 34.17% contribution. Windup didn't matter. 50 or 60 didn't matter. Stick length did matter, but not much. So the big thing was AC. So shot type and stick length, that was the key factor to get the higher capability. So again, he ran the multi-plots and then the zone points. You can see the surface contour plot for this example. Here's one more, TIG welding. So doing tungsten inert gas welding to see how the input was. So cleanliness of material was an input, argon gas flow rate, and then amperage setting on the welder were the key things looked at. So again, here's the setup visual for this particular design of experiments. Now you can see here cleanliness, argon flow, and current amps, and you can see the weld quality. Now, this was considered a really good weld based on the welder's limited experience and skill. Funny enough, argon flow rate was more important than cleanliness and current. So you could use a lower current and it didn't have to be super clean, but boy, your argon flow rate had to be good. So definitely learn something from this. And you can see there, marginal means of argon flow rate. That was the big kicker. That's what really mattered. So here was the conclusions that he put into his example. Increased argon flow rate had the most effect on the results and ease of welding. Cleanliness may have had more of an effect if there was no wire brushing, but typically wire brushing is standard practice prior to welding. Acetone is not always used, okay? Since both the high and low amp settings were recommended, it was more a matter of ease of welding than a major factor on weld quality. So use lower amperage if it's going to work the same. You learn something from that. Now, one last thing I'd like to share with you is Paul Allen. So in www.allenp.co.uk, he's out of the UK. He has a thing called Complexity Made Simple, APL, and he does great DOE videos that show you how he's run through different DOEs and different case studies. And I strongly recommend, if you really want to learn more and have more depth and background in using DOE, because he does use Sigma Zone DOE Pro, and he's got some good case study videos. I'd strongly recommend that you take a look at those before you jump into your DOE, so you get just a better understanding of how to use the tool more effectively. That's it for our DOE examples. Thank you.